Hi, I'm Gino, and I've been sharing posts from my Summer of Savoring Retreat here in 2023. For my Summer of Savoring, I've been traveling around my favorite country on this planet, and it's Italy. I love this culture because it is such a multi-sensory experience, which allows me to ground myself back into my body and really be present. So this post I'm doing from one of my favorite cities, Bergamo, and I wanted to read a quote that I actually shared a few days ago. This is from this book published 2017, 2018-ish. It's called Why Travel Matters by author Craig Storty. And Craig's thesis is basically it's a guide to the life-changing effects of travel. And the quote is on page 130, and this quote kind of sums up his title, Why Travel Matters. Travel matters because it changes us. And if we can change, he says on page 130, then we can grow. And that's the story that I'm going to be sharing with you, is how travel has allowed me to change and grow over the years. I grew up in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and was born and raised in that area, and didn't really do a lot of travel growing up. My parents were middle class. We didn't have a ton of money, so we just did local trips. My first major trip abroad was when I graduated in the year 2000 from my liberal arts college. My gift to myself was a travel abroad to Europe. And we went first to Austria, then Italy, then France, and Switzerland. Or Switzerland and then France. Yeah, we flew out of Paris, so we ended in France. That really did change my life. It's just like Craig says here in the book, if we can change, we can grow. What that did was it opened up my eyes to whole new worlds, whole new cultures, and entirely new ways of being. And since that time, since the year 2000, it has been a hunger, a wanderlust in me to continue to grow and see new cultures. So I did my research here in Italy for my master's degree. I studied gender performance, so I looked at the nonverbal display of masculinity in Italian culture. And pretty much what I was looking at was how culture influences the way that we perform our identity, and in this case, specifically our gender. Why do men act the way they do and display their masculinity in Italy this way, which in my hometown of Pittsburgh was completely different? So if that's interesting, go ahead and Google The Public Spectacle of Masculinity by Gino Perotti, master's thesis, and you will see it there. But that really started to allow me to see the world through different eyes. And of course, when you learn about other cultures, it starts to reveal more about your own culture. So I started to discover how my culture really helped to reinforce, shape my identity. And this all fits under the umbrella of my work that I talk about here on LinkedIn. And that's under the title of conscious communication. So when we're really aware of the different influences, we can understand and better choose our behaviors instead of just reacting unconsciously. This town, Bergamo, is very special to me. If you follow my posts for a while, I posted last year. I try to visit Italy at least every other year, and now I'm going to try to get here every summer because it's that important to me. It allows me to really decompress and engage my senses, as I mentioned, which allows me to relax and recover from some of the exhaustion that I experience from being a full-time educator and coach, which is a profession where we give and give and give. I make myself 100% available to my students and my clients, and I love what I do, but I also need to be able to give back to myself. So Italy allows me to be able to do that by engaging in these amazing multisensory experiences, like these incredible views over this ancient town of Bergamo, which was ruled over by Venice amongst some other rulers over the centuries, but it's extremely well preserved. It's near Milan and it's in the Alps area, so close to Switzerland. But the reason that I come back to this city often is that I studied here in the year 2006. So I decided to take a little bit of a risk at that time. I was working on my master's degree, knew that I wanted to study Italian masculinity, and understood that in order to do that effectively, I really needed to be able to speak the language, because when you speak the language, it allows you an insider's perspective to people, to understand our thinking, our emotions, and as I talk about all the time on LinkedIn, our thinking and our emotions influence our actions. So if I'm observing the actions of the Italian people here in the city of Bergamo, I need to trace it backwards and understand some of their thinking and their emotions. I'm smiling because there's a pub not too far here on the other side of the apartment where I'm filming, and they're playing vintage Britney Spears. Oops, I did it again. I like that song. But going back to Bergamo, I decided to study the Italian language in 2006 to help me with my thesis research. So I came here on a study abroad program when I was studying at the University of Central Florida. I didn't really know what I was going to get except better at the language. And that trip completely changed my life for the better. It allowed me to see a future, create a vision for myself of what I actually wanted my life to be like. And maybe you've heard this language, reclaim the narrative, which is a form of conscious communication. Instead of just building the future that my parents and my hometown of Pittsburgh told me I should want, I got to really see and then start to take responsibility to choose the things that I wanted for my own life. I have the fortunate freedom to be able to do that. And when I came to Bergamo, I saw the kind of things that brought me pleasure, the beauty that is this place that you see around me. I had foods that just lit up in my mouth, a taste that I'd never had before, the tomatoes that taste the way that they should taste, and incredible local foods like casoncelli, which it's hard to find anywhere other than Bergamo. But I basically was opened up to a world where this is what I wanted for my life. And that's what I wanted to share with you, was a bit of this journey, which eventually led to me starting my company 10 years ago this summer. I started it in summer of 2013. Here we are in 2023. But I called it Right Brain Journeys because that's what I've been on my whole adult life, is this journey to consciousness, this journey to understanding what I wanted my life to be, and then taking the proactive steps to gain the knowledge, to gain the correct feelings. What feelings do I need to be able to move in the direction that will be most productive and helpful for me to achieve the goals, to help bring that vision to life? So going back to what Craig Storty asks, why does travel matter? Travel matters because it can change us. And if we can change, then we can grow. So I just want you to remember that the journey to conscious communication starts with being able to communicate from the inside out by connecting our head, our heart, and our hands. And this is taking responsibility of our thinking, our feeling, and our doing. I'm happy to support you on your journey.